Hello, I'm Chris. I'm an animal communicator, and on this channel we talk about topics related to animal communication. And especially in this video, I want to take you on a journey, especially on my journey, how I met animal communication, how I learned animal communication. I take you on a journey through my feelings, my thoughts about animal communication during the journey as well, at the beginning of the journey. And why is that? Basically, I figured out that so many people, they run into animal communication, but they all come from different point of views. There's not a related thing like a job after school. You start like studying and then you run into the job. There are people that obviously have the ability since they are a child and never unlearned it. And there are also people that were like really like scientifically, logically, and they learned it like later by coincidence, for example. Other people, they learn it by doing meditation and like walk over that kind of topic and experience, wow, there's a whole new world out there. So there's really a lot of ways how you can run into it, but today it's about my way. So you learn about, maybe you're on a complete different way, maybe you're just interested in that topic, and then you are like, okay, this is very different, this is a very different approach, and maybe you can also learn something from that approach and also learn something from my feelings that I share with you, also my thoughts about it. Okay, let's get started. So my boy Neo right now is 5. He actually just turned 5 years old last week. And when he was very young, I wanted to get more into the psychology of animals, because I wanted to have like not just a dog, I wanted to have like a really good relationship with him. So I studied and learned like books about pets, about dog psychology, and all that kind of things. And then there was it was Christmas. My girlfriend gifted me an online course about animal communication. Basically, I had no idea. I just knew like I want to study this topic, but I had no idea what it is, honestly. I thought like it's about, okay, if he lifts its tail, the dog, for example, it means like it's open, it's happy, stuff like that, to learn like their body language. But it turned out to be like very different. So I started this online course, which was a course around 4 to 6 weeks or something, very like basic. And then they started with like feelings. What kind of feelings are your leading feelings? So if you close your eyes and imagine something, do you get a picture? Do you hear the word? Do you get like the actual feelings on this topic? Can you see it? So these kind of things, like what is your strength in terms of like the feelings or the emotions or whatever is all type of senses. And then also there was a huge thing about like a huge topic or basement was the meditation, of course, because it's super important to become calm before you do it. Actually, there are some people, they always been very calm. They can just sit there for 3 hours doing nothing. I can't. I'm an engineer. Basically, my world is super logical, and I'm not very calm person, to be honest. And obviously, if you're that kind of person, it's a super huge advantage, because before you start, usually you need to calm yourself down to turn up or turn down actually your thoughts. So it's kind of a little bit, for me, it felt like a disconnection from your ego. Your ego gives you constantly thoughts. So basically we learned like how to meditate, how to shut down your ego. And then the course started just to be like, okay, you receive a picture of an animal and you get some basic questions. How are you? Where are you? What's your favorite food? Like the very basic stuff. And then you close your eyes, you start like a connection. There are actually techniques. And then you start receiving things. And then you send this message or what you received to the owners, and then they give you actual feedback. So during the course, you do that maybe every day or every second day. You have like 20, 30 animal communications from actual animals and the owners, they respond to your, they give you feedback basically via email, which was a very good thing, and they were always like very positive, motivating. Of course, when you begin, you have like the quote that you're right with some things might be very basic or very low. Maybe you start with 30%, but some stuff, you even when you started directly, I said like, okay, he has a water bowl that has black points on it and the bowl is silver, stuff like that, and it turned out to be true. So there are like really specific details that are even true when you're like a beginner, so you can actually make a good process very fast. But in total, like if you have 10 points to say, or if you receive 10 points, maybe like for a beginner 3 of these points turned out to be right. For later when you're advanced, like 5 points. Later on when you're like super pro and you're doing this for years, maybe 8, 9, 10s will be approved by the owner. 9 of these things, 8. So that's basically throughout the journey you will improve the preciseness of what you say or what you receive, and also the correctness. Usually you can only approve things by the owner, or you know the animal personally, so you can judge. But it's super cool to do it with, I recommend it actually to do it with strange animals, because you always have connected feelings if it's your own animal. So basically that's what I was doing during the course, and at the end of the course, after like 5-6 weeks, I got like one request which was really specific. So the owner asked me, it sent me a picture of a dog and asked me like, just talk to the dog and tell me, that's the only thing I want to know, where do we have the dog from? So where does the dog come from? So when you start logically, if some person asked for this, it means like, okay, that dog must have a special story, was abandoned or something. But actually I entered the meditation, and I just saw it as a 3-month-old puppy, like the normal way. After 3 months, family comes, then they take the puppy with him, and I told them basically it was far away, like 4 or 5 hours ride, and then the puppy was like puking and screaming during the ride, and after like half time, after 3 hours, they made a stop because they said like, okay, the puppy needs to go out for sure, it needs to pee, it needs to relax, it needs to smell, do its things outside, and also we are hungry. So they decided to stop at the bakery, which actually had like a red sign, and after that they continued the journey. And I was telling them exactly like this, and basically the owner was like super surprised and like, wow, it was exactly like that. Even like the bakery and the sign of the bakery was all true. We got some bread there to have food, and then we continued to home. This was actually like really shocking. And also I had one other where an animal was like damaged in the past, like 5 years ago. It had an accident, so I was telling the owner, or actually during the meditation, I received huge pain in my leg. I was like, it hurt really bad. And then I was telling like the owner, in the right rear leg, I had like huge pain and I can't even walk and I still have pain and everything. And basically the owner said like 5 years ago the dog had a car accident, especially in this leg, and ever since it cannot really work very well. It has problems because the hips were turned and the bones are not correctly healed and everything. So I was super shocked, because all that imagine after 4 weeks, and you come from like a very logical world that I was in, basically had nothing to do with like spirituality, all these things. So basically that was my journey, but I was super shocked. So and also the course ended, so I didn't like actually continue a lot. I stopped doing it. I sacrificed myself to other projects. I was doing a job and all that. So basically I stopped learning and the learning progress. And I think it was after 1 year, through my sister, she had some problems, and then she was going to a shaman, or like an alternative healer. And she was like super impressed by him, and she was telling me all that, and I was like, wow, I need to go there too, just to have like I was at the point in view in life where either I go this road or this, and I it took me years to decide, honestly. So I went there, and he was telling me super crazy stuff about myself, about my life, about my skills and everything. Like he knows me, he knows my way, he also knows my future. It was crazy. Like either in the future this would be a good idea to do, or this. He didn't say exactly like do this or that, but he gave me very good advices. So when I came home, I realized like, wait, this was exactly what he was doing. Like he entered also like quick meditations, and he did basically a reading, and I realized this was exactly the same process, the same technique that I was using before in the course for animal communication. And by that time I almost had forgotten about this. So I got like really interested in it, because I was like, okay, I already did this and it worked out, so I can do this. And if I can help people or animals this way, it would be so cool to keep on going. But by that time, like my skill level was like 50% or something from the animal communications were right, the other ones weren't approved. So I kept like training. I was giving like free animal communications also from this guy. I was doing a 1 year shamanic course, which I practiced 1 or 2 hours every day, meditation techniques for relaxations and all that. It was super cool, and I every day I did like animal communications for many months. And also I gave them away for free, because I said like I wanted to train. So I put like on online sites, I do it for free. But the thing is, honestly, if you do it for free for people, they are not very, of course they are happy, but there are some that they are not very thankful, even especially if you're like doing a session that was not so good. Okay, if I say like my rate was 50%, feels like for one animal maybe it could be 100%, everything was correct, and for the animal everything was wrong. So I also had people there like telling me like, am I drunk, have I been drugged doing this? Because I tell them like specific things, what the dog like, he has a brother some year, or he lives with cats. And if all that is not true, of course they start doubting you. But actually during the process of learning, this is super bad. If somebody, at least for me, if somebody tells me like, are you crazy, you have no skill, that was all wrong. So basically every time a person told me like this was very bad, it took me like 3 steps backwards, and then actually it took me weeks to progress. Even if I did like weeks of good animal communications, after 1 or 2 weeks I came to the same level of confidence. Because it's often, for me, at the end I can say it, confidence in it is a very big thing. So at the beginning, basically, what happens, you don't have a trust in it. You're just like, okay, I'm trying. If I'm wrong, okay, I'm happy if I have 1 or 2 things wrong, but you're not confident in it. So your level of being correct also is not very good. Later on you're a little bit more confident, but still there's something missing. So maybe also your quality of your readings or of your animal communications, they start progressing. And at the end, right now I have like super confidence, even if a person would tell me no, that's actually not all true, it wouldn't like destroy my mind, like, oh, I'm worth nothing and I should stop doing that, all these kind of thoughts. So that's also a thing, like, have or are confident in it. Even be aware that it's a process of learning, that you can make mistakes, okay, and you are making mistakes, of course. And do not let these mistakes destroy your confidence in the thing, because in the end it turned out for everybody can learn this. And of course you need effort. You cannot learn this in a couple of weeks to be like a pro or something. It just doesn't work out. So basically there's another theme that pops up here, is like the mindset around it, a mindset about learning, about failing, about believing in it, the mindset about like animals, about souls. There's especially like a lot of theory that you can also learn. I believe, and that's also important to just, I know it's important to just start doing it, but also your mindset. How do you believe in it? What do you think in general about this topic or something? These things are also like, for at least for me, from my experience, very very important. So I made this shamanic course. I did like also shamanic readings, reading with humans every day, also readings I gave with animals, and suddenly it just kept all improving. I did like breath work for my energy, and chakra works, and all kinds of stuff you can imagine. Of course, you should try out everything, but basically at the end I would say, because in my person I'm not super calm. If I sit 5 minutes in a train or something, I grab my phone and check it. Other people, they can just sit there and enjoy it, or they even live in the forests all their day, so they are basically already in a calm state, connected to earth. So for me, it was always super important to make like a pre-workout before a reading, I would say. I have like little rituals I dance around, I do some shaking of my body to just let everything go, that was an important thing, and that was something that I learned about in the shamanic course, which was really important and also helped me a lot in the animal communication. So if maybe you're a person, you don't have any problems with like being calm, then it's not your focus. But if you know yourself and you're like a little here and there, and you can't just sit there for half an hour, do nothing, then you actually should work on their techniques like autogene training or meditation and all that kind of stuff. So work on your relaxation, or you can work on your relaxation in general, or just make sure before the reading that you're in a calm state. That's at least my opinion or my advice if you're that kind of person. Anyhow, later on I started like giving readings for friends, shamanic readings also for animals, for more friends. I even started like charging a little bit of money for it, and it went out super well. And also like there it was actually the same. If you are like low price, if you do like, okay, just give me 20 euros and I do it, or 10 euros, or just give me however it feels for you. If it's good, then you give me more, but it's nothing that there's missing some thankfulness of the people. If people just give you 10 euros, you don't feel very like appreciated also, and this makes something with the process. So I was doing that at first, and then I fell in like in a hole, because it's always like ups and downs. Sometimes you feel like, okay, I can do everything, every detail that I get, everything is absolutely true. And then there's also times where you're like, okay, shit, this time it didn't work out. Okay, I'm doing the next animal communication. Oh, it was only like 50% was correct and precise. Oh, that was not good. And then if you do it like 2-3 times in a row, and then you start falling into like a hole, you're bad again, and it takes you weeks to come out. Maybe it's worth like stopping and doing a break and set you a timer of like, okay, I'm taking 10 days, not thinking about anything, and then I start over again. Because if you start already with like thoughts that, oh, I'm not so good and the last time was bad, the chances are actually quite high. Bling bling mindset issue. So I was doing that, and also like the thankfulness was not very good. As soon as I started like charging a little bit more money, that I'm really like, okay, this is something I can imagine I can earn an hour. And then actually when I did this was a huge step, because of course then not so many people will book you, for example. There's always like a balance. But as soon as I did that, the quality of my readings was so much better. In the end, I was writing them in a better way. I was making explanations to them in a better way. I took more time. I took more like a pre-workout or a preparation. So I was much more calm. I was asking more and deeper stuff. So actually for me, it felt like, at least in my point, like thankfulness towards me, or the appreciation, helped me a lot to also improve my drive or my motivation to continue with this topic. Because if you have like lots of downs, a lot of fails or errors, of course you're not super motivated to keep going. So make sure to don't expect so many stuff of yourself. Just be like, okay, if I do this animal communication, then if maybe 3 out of 10 things are good, it was okay. If 5 of 10 was good, it was good. If 8 of 10, it was perfect. But the minimum should keep it low. Don't have like high expectations to you. Like, okay, one thing wasn't okay, it was a bad reading or something. Some people think like that, especially if you're training, you know. If you should definitely improve when you charge money, or you should definitely be to a point where many things are correct. Of course, it can always happen that some information that you get, the owner has no idea. It can also be the owner has like no idea. The animal has seen some things that the owner never experienced. The animal tells you sometimes it's messed up with the times. It could be a thing like 10 years ago or something. So there's things you never know, or you just misunderstood a picture that you received, which can also be, it happens, okay? So don't mess up if you fail 1 or 2 times. So basically that was a bit about my story, and now I'm even doing like YouTube videos, I'm in a Telegram group, I'm doing like weekly animal communications even for clients, and it's super motivated, but just keep on going. You can take some small breaks, but make sure you just keep improving your skills, you keep working on it, and have some time in your life to keep work on it. That's what it's a recommendation I would give, because I often had like stops even of a complete year. Like 3 years ago I was doing nothing for 1 year after the course, I told you that. So make sure it's always the best to not exaggerate it. So just, it's a process, step by step, every week, maybe 1 or 2 readings, or even if it's a month, it's okay. But many people, they are super into this for a couple of weeks, they learn crazy, and after that they kind of forget about it. So it's much better to have like a smaller process, step by step. And also, I honestly, from my mindset, because I was really logical person, I felt like I needed that break, even for, it was a break of a year. Because sometimes if you do it too fast, if you do like a weekend course, or like a 1 month class or 1 week class, it's too much for your head. Maybe you learn all these techniques, but your head just don't understand. Your ghost or your soul is not developing that fast. It just takes much more time to understand these things. And there are even things that I was told on the first day, and I understand them now after 4 years. I mean, logically, I understand it on the first day if they say like, "Oh, be relaxed." But after 4 years, I really know what is like a deep relaxation. So basically, there's things that develop, and stuff also needs some time. So don't pressure too much, or don't put too much pressure on yourself. So basically, that was like a bit of my story, how I learned it, what was my experience, and maybe another time. I don't know. Let me let me know if you're interested in talking about specific animal communications. I was talking to many animals, to maybe 20, 30 different species of, could be horse, cats. It was more like a standard, like dogs. I also talked like to frogs, and to crazy, to a kangaroo, to a crocodile, to all kinds of animals, to a snake. And also maybe I can tell on another video a little bit more about, take out specific animal communications. What did I do? How could I help? I'm not sure if you're interested in that, and knowing like what's going on specifically, because it's also something that is very individual for every person, for every kind of animal, and even for any animal, it can be very different. and have a good day. I hope you enjoyed the video.